Hey nerds, it's me again. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome. So recently some friends and I have been getting into mech stuff, like Mech Warrior games and Titanfall. I also started paying my Chaos Knight, and so to focus my monkey brain on the recent mech obsession, I decided to do a video covering a very brief history of the Imperial Knights of the Warhammer 40k universe. Let's dive in. Among the various war machines of the Imperium of Man, one stands above them all, quite literally. The Imperial Knights, or Questor Imperialis, are towering robotic walkers that bring swift destruction to the enemies of mankind. Knights are not simply war machines, however. They are ancient relics of a more chivalrous age, and only a noble of the ancient knight houses may have the honor of bonding with such a ferocious engine of battle. So before the Emperor would unite humanity under his banner, humans experienced the Age of Technology, an age of rapid technological expansion and wonder. During this era, humans pushed out into the void of space for the first time. Colonists ventured out in search of suitable planets to farm or mine in order to feed mankind's budding expansion. Some of these worlds turned out to be less than hospitable to human settlers. Hostile natives, hostile wildlife, toxic atmospheres, extreme weather, sometimes all of that all at once. But all that tested the mettle of those chosen to expand humanity's influence. Luckily, these problems were anticipated. Equipped with standard template construct databases, or STCs, and fabrication facilities, colonists were able to craft suits of exo-armor that could protect them from the dangerous new world they inhabited. These suits of armor proved a great boon to the colonies. Armed with high-end weaponry and able to traverse the most perilous of environments, the pilots of these suits protected their fellow colonists and helped them harvest the resources they needed to eke out an existence on their new world. Over time, these armored protectors became commonplace on the frontier. Settlers began to refer to them as knights, after the noble protectors of medieval Earth. Colonial society slowly transformed into a feudal model, and knight pilots were elevated to nobility status. Thus, the knightly houses were born. Knight suits replaced plastisteel for adamantium, and their armor became more graceful to reflect their new prestigious and sacred role in society. The task of resource harvesting was then delegated to their subjects, and the nobles of the knight houses were allowed to focus fully on war and protecting their people. The glory and wonder of the Age of Technology came to an end in what is referred to as the Age of Strife, or Old Night. With conflict against the men of iron sentient machines and warp storms separating large swaths of the galaxy after the awakening of Slaanesh, the Night Worlds and most other human colonies were cut off from one another. The Night Worlds regressed into largely pre-industrial feudal societies, maintaining the titanic suits of armor as best they could, while imprinted nobles cemented their power and built new societies on honor, fealty, and duty. Thanks to their ultra-conservative ways, most Night Worlds escaped the horrors of the Age of Strife, and remained largely untouched by the time of the Imperium. Some 5,000 years later, the Imperium of Man began its great crusade across the stars. Led by the Emperor and his Astartes, the Imperium began the long process of uniting every human world lost in the Age of Strife. Eventually, Night Worlds were discovered. Though only a few hundred remained, the Imperium quickly realized how valuable those worlds and their night houses could be to the continued expansion of the budding empire. After decades of politics, the Adeptus Mechanicus claimed the right to exploit the Night Worlds. The massive warrior knights would fight in their Titan legions, while the Mechanicum would help the knights build their worlds to modern imperial standards. Those who attempted to maintain the knight suits throughout Old Night were inducted into the cult Mechanicus and taught how to improve and properly maintain the armor of their nobles. And the knights and the Mechanicum developed a symbiotic relationship with one another. The Night Worlds would provide resources for the Mechanicum, and the Tech Priests provide knowledge and aid in bringing Night Worlds back into being sophisticated technological societies. Moving on to the fun stuff. When Night Houses go to war, they are honor bound to answer the call of their Titan Legion. The representatives of the Titan Legion calling for aid will request a certain number of knights, making the exact makeup of knight battle groups vary from legion to legion, from campaign to campaign. Upon arrival at the rally point, the eager knights are immediately transported and thrown into glorious battle. Typically, knights will be tasked as solo flanking units, or to provide fire support for the much larger battle titans. The call to war is met with zealous enthusiasm by the knights, as it gives them a chance to escape the monotonous court life for months or even years at a time, and allow them to compete with allied and rivaled houses for feats of heroism and valor on the field. Knights will also readily fight alongside other Imperial forces, such as Astra Militarum or the Space Marines, should they feel obligated or helpful in doing so. Unleashing volleys of rockets and searing energy beams, and protected by near impenetrable ion fields, knights gleefully charge into battle for the glory of their house and their emperor. While many knights fight for one house or the other, a few reject these notions entirely and strike out on their own. These knights are known as Freeblades. This ancient tradition dates back to the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy eras, and essentially was made up of nobles who were drawn out of their houses for one reason or another. Some were outcasts, some willingly, some just because they were bored. Many reasons could be found for a knight to take up the Freeblade mantle, but most of the time, Freeblades were the last members of their house. And with no liege lord to answer to, the knights would change their heraldry and strike out on their own across the galaxy. Most Freeblades travel alone, but occasionally team up with other Freeblades, fighting as a household detachment but with bonds forged through battle instead of inheritance. They travel the galaxy fighting for mankind, roaming from one battlefield to the next, adhering to their intense sense of honor and duty as they seek to protect the weak, claim victory for humanity. Like most knights, they leave little but destruction and death in their wake. Their awesome power has left Freeblade Knights with a near mythic status among Imperial citizens, but these lonesome soldiers pay it no mind. Their only satisfaction comes from fulfilling their honor-bound duty. And as we all know, only in death does duty end. That's all for this one, folks. There's a ton of lore surrounding the Knights of Warhammer, so let me know if there's something more specific you want me to cover, because I'll probably be making a ton more of these in the near future. Drop a like and a comment because it makes the algorithm happy, and drop a subscribe because it makes me happy. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Toodles.